Hey, Rasathi out here in Singapore. Just wanted to stop by and see how y'all are doing. Sunday afternoon, chilling out at the moment at the house, about to have lunch, but I wanted to get on here and talk to you a little bit about finding the lesson. I think that, there's so many different cliches running around there at the moment. People are talking about, don't ask why me, ask try me. And that comes from a place of, just anger, and you're trying to, challenge people to keep at you or whatever. A lot of people are asking, why me? Why does this always happen to me? And that's coming from a place of fear and worry and sadness because you're so used to this same situation happening over and over again. And I'm trying to find out how to help people understand that asking for the lesson rather than asking for why this always happens is a very different perspective. So asking for the lesson and trying to figure out what the lesson is in the situation is usually where you're trying to be objective, right? You're not caught up in the feelings. You're kind of like, okay, so this is the situation right now. What did I need to learn? What do I need to make sure that this doesn't happen again? It's almost like, okay, you've accepted the circumstance. Now what do you do? A lot of people have trouble getting there. They don't want to accept the circumstance. They want to see if they can change it or not. They want to see if they can have someone change themselves so that the situation will change instead. But a lot of times we forget that that circle of control does not include other people. It's only us, our thoughts, our actions, our speech. It's basically, it comes down to us. So in my world, if something happens, I've learned to step back from the situation and understand what I can and can't control. Looking at the situation itself, if I were to remove myself entirely, this is the way it is. Let's say it's a bill collector, for example. Obviously, if I can pay the money right up front, then it's not going to be a problem. But if I can't, it's just the way it is. They're going to continue to call because it's in their nature to call and call and call to chase the money or whatever. And if I'm not in a position to pay right away, I have to put myself in a position to figure out how to manage their expectations so it doesn't bother me so much. Because obviously, every time they call, it's going to upset me, right? It's going to remind me, hey, I don't have enough. Hey, I'm struggling with something. Hey, I made a mistake somewhere along the way, and now I'm suffering for it because I wasn't able to do something in a timely manner so this wouldn't happen in the future. But that also gets me thinking, what is the lesson? When it comes to finances, it's about making sure that you have enough to pay the essentials and then have enough to put away in savings and then have enough to kind of play around with for the rest of the week. But what do? We're taught to pay the bills first. We're taught to save second, and then you spend whatever's left over after that. But ideally, what you're supposed to do is save first, pay the bills. Like, you make sure that you have enough for savings and paying the bills, and then a little left over. You've adjusted for that already. You've made sure that your salary includes all of those things. But on a day-to-day basis, it's not like that either. On a day-to-day basis, if we run by, let's say, oh gosh, for baby girl it's Smiggle. For me it's Typo. It's like the adult version of Smiggle, right? So if we run by those stores, we're stationary geeks. We're gonna be like, oh my god, I want this, and I need this notebook because it's really cool looking, and I need that pen because it looks like it's really comfortable. All these little things. So what we don't realize is when we, let's say, have 20 bucks in our wallet, and we know that we need to have lunch at some point, we know that we need to, make it last for as long as possible. You run by the store real quick and you're like, oh gosh, it's a sale. Let's go grab this real quick. And suddenly your money is dwindling and you don't even know where it's happening, why it's happening, because you're not focused, you're not aware on a continual basis. You're aware at the end of the month when you're trying to figure out where the money went and you're waiting for the next paycheck, but you're not aware on a daily basis. And it's like that for a lot of our situations. So that was a just quick rampage about money and in crisis, obviously, but you have other situations. Let's say I just did a story on this as well about the holidays, and you're getting ready to meet some relatives that you meet every holiday, and some of them know how to act and some of them don't. Some of them are quite rude and facetious, and some of them are just really cool, and you just hang out with them as much as possible, right? But for the ones that you don't get along with, what can you possibly do? You can accept that they are the way that they are. You can accept that the only control you have is to tell them that, hey, you say this and it hurts my feelings, don't do it anymore, and you warn them. But outside of that, you can't do much else. So you understand the situation, you accept it for what it is, you do your part, and then you got to let the chips fall where they may. And once they do fall, you realize, okay, well, this is a pattern now. This is who they are for real, even though I do tell them that this is upsetting. And then you start to remove yourself from those situations. Asking for the lesson, though, means that you understand objectively that it's something within you to correct, not within anybody else. Me setting a boundary, me telling somebody that it hurts my feelings, me then walking away afterwards, that's all up to me. That's within my circle of control. It's my universe. I create it, I destroy it, I reorganize it, whatever the case may be. It's up to me. But asking for the lesson is all about me as well. Maybe sometimes asking for the lesson means that here I am again in this love situation where the guy is totally unavailable and I'm hurting because I really want the connection, because when we are connected, it's perfect. And when we aren't, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm being abandoned again. That lesson then is, how do I heal my abandonment attachment issues? That lesson then is, okay, I have this situation where I'm prone to these feelings and I need to make sure that I am whole and I'm steady and I'm confident within myself so that I don't fall into these situations. And even if I do, I can still hold my own ground. Sometimes in those situations, because I hear a lot of it from my clients, emotionally distant, lack of connection, lack of commitment, all those things. But the point being that, why are you in this situation? Why did you invite this person into your life? Why did you decide or choose to associate with this person, even though you know who they are? Sometimes you accept the situation, but then you think, oh no, but I could love them into another, universe. I could make sure that, I take care of them because they ain't never been taken care of by anybody like me before, right? We've all heard those situations. We've already said those situations before. But the point being that if you can't hold your ground, if you can't hold steady in a situation like this, it's going to continually affect you all the time. And as you know, the universe is not very subtle about giving you the same lesson over and over again to make sure that you've learned the lesson, right? I have been in 2 very long relationships, and in the beginning, they were not emotionally unavailable. They were very, very engaged. They were very, very in tune. And as time went by, as I took over more and more responsibility within the relationship itself, it's almost like they didn't need to be there. I could run it by myself. And that's only because I'm kind of intimidating in that way. I'm all encompassing. I like making sure that the other person's taken care of. I like being there. I like showing affection. I like showing that, I can anticipate your needs and all that stuff. But what that also does is means that in like a tug of war situation, I've moved over into your area. The flag on my side has moved over into your area, or I've pulled you over into one or the other. It's all the way over on one side, and there's no need for you to hold on it at all. I can hold it right where it is. So instead of having unbalanced situations where you're upset, emotionally prone to being in situations where people can hurt you or affect you, instead of finding yourself there all the time, you need to ask for the lesson and figure out what it is that you could do within yourself to make yourself strong. And I'm not saying put up more walls and block everybody. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, how do you deal when something happens and the person that you're closest to decides to pull away a little bit? Maybe they just need the space to clear their minds and figure out stuff for themselves. But how do you show support without that expectation that they will respond every time, so that you're not pulled into the situation where you feel like they're ignoring you? Does that make sense? If you think about it all the way in the beginning of a relationship, right? Let's say when y'all get your WhatsApp numbers sorted or whatever, and you start messaging each other, you don't expect the other person to write to you at all. And so when they do, you're excited. It's like a great feeling, right? You're like, wow, okay, cool, they wrote. And you wrote right back, and that's that. There's no expectation that they'll write to you again. And that's holding your own space. You're confident enough to be that person. But as time goes on and they show you that, they are capable of more conversation, or they're capable of keeping tabs on you and check on you throughout the day, you begin to expect those things, because that's becoming the new normal. It's hard not to have that expectation, but it happens. I'm telling you, it happens. It happens to me too. And at that point, when they start to disappear or go do their own thing without letting you know, or maybe, they've been gone a couple days and you're just a little worried, you don't know how to react at that point, because you're so used to that new normal that you're expecting it to be that same way. But what if you were able to teach yourself, hey, okay, this is the universe telling me that they need their space, so I'm going to use my space to do whatever I need to do, so that when they do come back, I'm ready. It's about being steady no matter what happens, because life is constantly in flux. You can't control the push and pull of the moon. You can't control the way the clouds roll through the sky, or whether it rains or not in Singapore. Like, seriously, we really can't control that. But What you can do is be prepared for all situations. You can be prepared for, hey, I just put the laundry out and it's super sunny all of a sudden, and like 5 seconds later it's downpour, but it's only for 3 minutes flat. And by the time you took all the clothes in, it stopped raining and you need to put them back out again. It's all about learning to roll with the punches. And that's where what is the lesson comes through. You're able to figure out, okay, well, why is it that it hurts me so much? What is it about me that I am not confident about, or I am not able to hold my own on, that I need to maybe work on a little bit more so that I'm better, I'm balanced. I can be an anchor. I can be a rock for somebody. Somebody can depend on me, and they can take their own time and walk away from me even, and I will not be so shattered every time that they do. Does that make sense? So I'm hoping that if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. But in the meantime, stop asking why me. Stop being arrogant and say, well, don't ask why me, ask try me. I get it, I get it. Why not do it with a little more compassion and say, you know what? You need this for yourself? Fine. How do I respond? What's the lesson that I can learn here so that I can make sure that I'm the best person that I can possibly be, so that when you do need me, I'm there. And if you don't need me, I'm still okay. I'm not going to fall apart. And I think that's like the most difficult thing to figure out in general. So I'll catch y'all later. Bye.